In this video, I'm going to show you how I do the hem on like a shirt cuff or a pant cuff. On my Singer Professional 5 here, it's both a serger and a cover stitch, so it does not have a free arm function. Now, most of the time with the free arm, you could do the on the round, or if you've got a small shirt cuff, you can't really fit this on the round. Most people tend to do the finished seam here, and then do it in the round on the machine like this. The problem is with smaller cuffs, when you go do it like this, you have to do a lot of fabric manipulation. And just like when cutting fabric, if it's not flat and you're doing a lot of manipulation, you're going to get some crookedness and unevenness. What I do with cuffs is I leave the seam open here. I don't finish it. I do my cover hem, getting close to the start of the fabric here. Well within the seam allowance. Then I finish it within, make sure I'm far enough to the edge, or close enough to the edge, so I make sure I'm in the seam allowance. Lift up the presser foot. Pull the threads forward. Cut them. Pull it gently to the back. Cut your looper thread. Now what I have is a hem that's on the flat, so the fabric's nice and thin. Then I go to my sewing machine or serge it, finish it, finish the edge. Then on a pant leg, you'd be turning it right side out. And then you'd have it finished like that. And I'll show this on the sewing machine in a few minutes. We're at the sewing machine now. This is the hem we just did on this shirt cuff. Now I'm going to do the side seam here. I'm going to line up the edges as the cover stitching as close as best I can. Now we're doing a 5/8 inch seam allowance on this test garment here. This is how I start my stitches, my back stitching. I go in about a 1/2 inch, about a 3/8 inch to a 1/2 inch. I bury my needle in my fabric. I reverse back a couple of stitches close to the edge. And then I go forward. Then you'd finish up your seam. And then trim off your thread tails. Then flip it to the right side, take a look. Could have lined them up a little bit better. And now what I do, not on shirt cuffs or armhole cuffs, but on pants, obviously I'm using a contrasting thread, but on pants what I normally would do is go back here, especially on my leggings and leg sleeves. I would come back here and put it back in the machine. Put a little, decrease my stitch length to like 1.2. And I do just a little reinforcement stitch right on the very edge. On a pant leg with matching thread, you'd never see this. Or on a pair of leggings with matching thread, you wouldn't notice it. But it makes sure that this never fails here. It doesn't pull apart here, especially on leggings, pulling them in if they're stretching it and you're pulling them over your feet and your heel. Sometimes this little spot here gets pulled. If you do a little reinforcement stitch there, it'll stay there forever and never pull out. That's how I do a cover hem on the bottom of like a pant leg or armhole. I think it just ends up with a much better looking garment that way than trying to put it in there and do it this way.